quick update. The top of the boot is like 99% finished. That's all done. That's all done. That's all done. This is done, and there's like the tiniest little thing here which will be done in like one more coat. That bit there is done. These bits are done. Each of them has like the tiniest little dot, which again will be done in one coat. Can you see that little? There, right. I can't even zoom into it. It's like a tiniest little thing. These two sides are pretty much done. They need a few more coats each of these light holes. I'll do this in time lapse now, just to show you. And then the other things I've got to do, I've got to finish these bits, which is a bit fiddly because it's so tight in there, and I've got to fill up these gaps all around, and also other little things like this gap will need to be filled in just a little bit, and on the sides as well, little tiny holes and gaps. So I'll finish these first. I'll finish this all first, and then I'll get on with the other stuff, I think. Okay. Basically, most of this is okay. Around this area, it's fine. That's completely flat now. This here, yep, completely flat. Just basically around this side, just along the edge there, there's a little bit more that's going to be filled in. And yeah, just slightly along the gap there as well. So it's just like that little side has a little bit more to go, and then that's done. The other side here, mainly just at the bottom, just a little tiny piece at the bottom. Here's a good example of how the primer fills up little gaps. That little square sheet I made was had quite a few little air bubbles in it. So what I've done is I've sprayed primer in quite a thick coat, and then I've sanded it down. And here you can see, when you put it up to light, you can see all the little gaps. That's the primer that's filled up those gaps, obviously. So when I do several coats of that, those holes will get more and more filled up with primer until they are completely full, and leaving a nice smooth finish. An update. The top is all done. Okay, now the back. These two light holes are pretty much done, just a couple of little tiny bits at the bottom that's going to be done quickly. This is going to be a little bit of work. I've got to fill in all those gaps. I'm going to make it on a bit of a slant, kind of like a kind of pyramid, I don't know, like on a slant upwards kind of thing, and inwards a bit. So it comes out of the mold very easily. And little tiny gaps and stuff to close up, like around that's, you know, sealed that all up. I've gone and I've put body filler along there as well. This will be more visible in the light. I filled this up with body filler and then sanded it down so it's nice and flat, and then I've sprayed primer over the top of it, and when I sand that down again, it'll be very easy to see just the kind of the transition from the first layer of body filler to the second layer of body filler. You'll see what I mean later. Yeah, so, and also for that little flat piece that goes into the hole, I'm just spraying that and making that really good as well. I'll do this part of the boot, I'll sand it, and I'll speed it up just so you can see what's going on. Basically what's on there now is one layer of body filler, which I've sanded down, and there was some low parts. So I sprayed primer over the top, which is like a grey color, and that's more beige. The body filler is more kind of beige color. So one coat of primer, and then in the middle, and then on top again body filler. So when I sand this down, you'll see a line around certain areas, and inside of those lines is the low parts that will be filled up with body filler, and around it will be the parts that were high. So you'll clearly see the parts that have been filled up. Okay, basically there you can see see these parts, the sort of grey line that goes up and down. That is the border between what was too low and what is now actually damn straight. There's just about no low parts there anymore whatsoever. So I'll just do maybe a few coats of primer on that side. I'll do the same thing on the same part on the other side. I'll do that now. Again, same thing on this side. You can see the lines that divide the areas that used to be too low and they're now pretty much perfectly flat. So I'm really happy actually with how well that turned out just now. I'm going to spray both sides now with primer, and then the next time I sand it, we'll see just how good and flat this really is. Also, most of this area is filled in twice now with body filler, once to fill the gaps and then the second time to pack it all in. And I'll sand that down and it should look pretty smooth and well, pretty good.